claimed that it has completed phase 1 of its missile and drone offensive, saying strikes were launched from multiple dispersed locations across Iran. It described the operation as targeting a comprehensive target bank, suggesting a wide-ranging and coordinated launch pattern. However, the statement notably provides no details on results, with no specific targets identified and no confirmed hits reported. Now, the emphasis remains on the execution of launches rather than measurable impact on the ground. In effect, it projects operational scale but leaves outcomes unverified and unclear, of course. Lieutenant General, yesterday Trump said that he is going to hit Iran very hard, and he did so. And in retaliation, Iran also struck equally bad. As far as the suffering of the global economy and the disruption of supply routes, is there nothing that the international players and all the other countries in the world can do, come together, do something to resolve the situation? Because like Mr. Karori Singh was saying, the US may not be affected and Iran may be stern on its resolve, but all the others are like passive sufferers.
Definitely. What Mr. Karori has said, the Americans export 5 million barrels of oil per day. But despite that, the rates of oil for the consumer in America have also gone up. What it was just about $2.5 per gallon has gone to almost about $5 per gallon. So the US also gets affected. But then if the Secretary of War, Hexet, is to say that we will negotiate with bombs, is indicative that the IRGC is also hitting bases in Jordan, hitting Bahrain, it is hitting Kuwait. Well, all the countermeasures may have been taken. Americans are hitting very hard at the surveillance side, the air defense, plus communication, plus desalination plant. You'll find now there's a tremendous amount of water shortage in Tehran itself and also in an adjoining areas of those islands which are manned by the IRGC. So the things are really out of control. Because until and unless, though everything is being spoken that there is a deal going on that we'll do it in the next 72 hours, in 96 hours, it's been on for the last 40 days. Those hours don't seem to come to an end. And therefore, you find Israelis are hitting very hard. The Iranians are now clubbing that there will be a ceasefire only if there is no firing on Lebanon. Lebanon is being hit very, very hard. You find 3,700 people dead in Lebanon since March 2, over 3,400 people dead in Iran since the 28th of February. So it's really, it's extremely, extremely difficult because obviously neither Iranians or anybody for that matter can't hit the US soil. And therefore, US is at liberty to do what it wants to do at this point of time with IRGC in full control of Iran, and at the same time, America unable to put boots on ground. So that's another this thing. And therefore, this strangulation of the state of Hormuz is creating. Now, there are very, very clear red lines of the United States that the nuclear, they will not let Iran get nuclear arm ever again. They don't want that the 440 kgs of enriched uranium to fall into the hands of either Russians or the Chinese. They want it to be given to the IAEA or to the Americans. And therefore, they want the Strait of Hormuz to be opened. Well, Iranians are wanting to weaponize the Strait of Hormuz. They're wanting it like what Mr. Karori said. They have now a complete toll authority which is collecting. Now, 12.5 nautical miles is the territory from the shore, and therefore if those are the territorial waters. 12.5 is 25, and as a result the narrowest is 21 nautical miles and 3 lanes in the Strait of Hormuz with a gap of 3 nautical miles in the center, 1 entry, 1 exit. So one is closer to Oman, which is closer to the Americans, and the one closer to Iran. There are islands all along which are dominating this strait. So there's a real difficulty. That is why we find firing going on. The world is suffering. There is no denying the fact that the world is suffering. We are suffering in India because gas comes from Qatar to all of us. We see problems of the high price rise in gas, in oil, fertilizers, pharmaceuticals, all of it. The entire money, whatever, that little concessional oil which was coming from Russia to us is not coming any longer. We have a basket. Of course, oil is coming, but then we have got to pay for that oil. And you find there's a whole lot of economic crisis in the country today.
In fact, we move on to take some visual updates from northern Iran's Karaja, where there have been multiple reports of an explosion. Reports say the US military is continuing to strike targets across Iran, with reports of additional strikes in Veramin, in Tehran, as well as in Karaj and Kazvin near Tehran. Take a look. And Iran's military has also announced a full state of alert, with both the armed forces and the IRGC stating that they have what it takes to defend the country amid rising regional tension. The statement, of course, coming as Iran signals it is closely tracking recent remarks from US leadership, including comments from Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth, which appear to have escalated the rhetoric further. At the same time, footage circulating from Tehran shows Iranian fighter jets conducting low-altitude sweeps over the capital, seen as a visible demonstration of military readiness.
خیلی ارتفاعش پایینه.
All right, Mr. Karori Singh, where is Israel now after launching this initial strike after the ceasefire and renewing the war? Now it's got the US and Iran fighting again, and Israel is just sitting silently, maybe.
Kriti, I would like to explain this situation like that. Initially, US fought the war of Israeli choice, because Israel started striking. Israel was the aggressor, then US followed it. Now the US is in the mess of its own creation. So it's not the started by the Israel. Even though when the Israel and Iran struck, I told you 3 days back, President Trump told stop shooting. But what happened now? And the triggering issue was to brought down one American helicopter that triggered the situation. And now CENTCOM has announced that our purpose is limited to hit the communication, surveillance and air defense capabilities of Iran, not a full-fledged war. So I don't think it's a full-fledged war right at the moment. But if such a situation is taking place, normally if there is a crisis and war-like situation, two sectors are immediately affected within minutes. That is the commercial aviation industry and the stock market. But in this situation, the oil market is immediately, within minutes, oil prices rise like anything. So the situation is different here. Again, if strike goes on, strike and counter strike goes on, then the oil prices will rise and energy security situation in different countries will be different. So how things bring into control, I think that Qatar delegation is already in Tehran, that is communicating with the United States authorities as well as the Iranian political leadership. I think there will be some negotiating process will start again. I don't think it will escalate at this point of time. Neither Iran wants nor US wants to escalate. As I told you, the triggering issue was the helicopter that brought down. Otherwise, limited strike and counter strike was taking place. So I don't think US wants to escalate it or the Iranian wants to escalate. Trump's position is that Iran is delaying the deal, and because of that, we shall have to strike hard. That is the Trump's position. CENTCOM position is different. I think there is some discrepancy between Trump's statement and CENTCOM's statement. So I don't say it's a lack of communication. Trump is a political leader and military leadership is different. So the understanding of the situation, the approach of the situation are different. And
All
that
right.
is why some kind of discrepancy between Trump's statement and CENTCOM's statement is there. Over.
All right. Thank you very much then for joining us, Mr. Karori Singh and Lieutenant General Kulkarni. And